Testing.
Yep.
Oh.
We will post the recording up on Meetup. In the thread, yeah. Cool. Excellent. So let's rock and roll. So hello everyone. My name is Nikola Brezhniak. Extra points for those who can pronounce the surname. Yeah, we're not gonna go around the room and do that. Anyways, I'm very glad to see you in actually quite a big number here. Usually, we have people who sign up and then they don't show up. So I'm very glad that I see new faces here. So I hope that you will continue coming here because we have more or less a meetup every month because we force people to do it. So yeah, thing is, I think and I hope that you came here, as we spoke before, that because this topic is interesting to you, and I hope that you come to learn something new, or you actually came to see me fail at my English. So anyways, yeah, there will be a lot of memes, so heads up. I like them. Not everybody likes them, so whatever. Either way, I thank you all for coming, and I hope you will learn something new today. So, as I said, I'm Nikola Brezhniak, Director of Mobile Engineering here for the past 7 months. I would say before that, full-time coder. Let me tell you a secret, I still code because I just don't want to let go, which lately meant more hours actually, but then again, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, a manager who doesn't code or didn't code, nah, just not my cup of tea, but that's me. I write some stuff on my personal website and on the blog. As you can imagine, before I used to do it more, now a bit less, and the topics are now changing into how to scale the team, how to make your team work better, whereas before, of course, development topics. Also, with my friend Sean Milochik, we have our own podcast, DevThink. I always have a problem with saying devthink.com. I always want to say devthink.com, but it's actually dev.inc. Kind of cool domain, if you would say, right? So check it out. It's not, necessarily developer related, as in we don't talk, Git or stuff. We actually talk a bit broader topic of, imposter syndrome. Has anybody heard about that? Maybe. Yeah, I see you nodding. Which that's why I asked before. I always feel that, and in a way, as you can hear us on that podcast, I don't think it's a bad thing because if you kind of feel that you're always behind, you're always going to search for and learn for more, which is always a good thing, right? Whereas if you just say, oh, I know enough, I'm going to be good for the next 5 years, you're not. So, yeah. Anyways, I don't believe in experts, but what I do believe in is continuous learning. And that's actually a culture that we foster around here at Teltech. And so in case you'd like to be a part of that, we actually have open positions in basically every field. So talk to us later, right? Anyways, so what we're going to do today. So first I'm going to explain a bit about what Git is and actual hands-on experience. Because usually what we do, and actually if you want, you can follow along and we're going to wait for this amount of time that you actually want to type, if you want. Just, give me a heads up so that I know. Does somebody want to do that? Cool. Do you have Git installed? Excellent. Cool. So, if I'm going too fast, which I probably won't because I type slowly, because actually I'm not typing slowly. This is another topic if you want to talk about later for why. What? Vorak as well, but the type of the keyboard, the best keyboard ever. I changed a lot of them. As you can see, they are in, how do you call them, Sean?
They're ortholinear, and basically they're in a perfect grid as opposed to being staggered because of 18th century manual typewriters, which is stupid.
Yeah,
By the way, I'm the reason he uses that.
Yeah, he is. And we actually have a podcast on that where I made the decision to switch, right? And let me tell you this, it was not 2 weeks, as he said. It was a month.
No, for Dvorak, not for the keyboard. The keyboard.
Exactly. The keyboard, you can use it today.
I've been using this since 2006. I won't go back. I get $0 for recommending that. It's Type Matrix. I will not use anything. Every other keyboard is stupid. Almost every other.
Almost.
Yes.
Yeah, you can test it later and see why he claims that.
Because it's true.
Yeah. And after that comes Dvorak, which, yeah, science says that 40% less finger movement. So, you know, in 40% less finger movements, you can do the same thing as when on a QWERTY keyboard. Anyways, side note. So I am going to show you a few simple commands that you need to know in order to work with Git. And then we're going to go and also show GitFlow and what kind of problems does it solve, if there even is a problem, right? For managing branches. So I don't know if you heard, but you know, Git is very good with branches, but we are going to get into that. And actually in the end, we're also going to show how also we here do code reviews, pull requests, and all that stuff, you know. So there will be a lot, but you know, it's not going to be a long presentation. Anyways, I really, honestly, truly hope that everybody here is on board with version control, right? It's not going to be a show of hands, so yes, right? However, I want to know who of you is actually using Git in your daily workflow. Okay, cool. Daniel, come on. Yeah, and how many of you use GitHub as your repository hosting service?
Person.
What? Do you use anything else? What?
I'm a host of them.
On your own? Cool. Anybody use Bitbucket? Yeah, cool. The only reason, I guess, because they have 5 gigs of private personal.
There's commercial.
Yeah, I use that one for my own whatever stuff. Cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna always give you a time to read them, me, in case you like them or not. So you know, Git is, as they say, distributed version control system. So first, let's tackle the easier one, right? Version control system. It does what it says. So it allows you to store different versions of your files. Sure, you know, developers use it mostly because whatever, right? Because of reasons. However, I actually know a lot of designers that use Git as well, and other, let's call them technical people that for whatever reason think that Dropbox is not enough for them, because also Dropbox does, you know, version history of files, sort of, kind of, right? And actually they also use Git. I personally thought 2 of my friends that are not into programming or anything, you know, but they do a lot of reports, and for some reason they wanted it, so they're using it. There's that. Anyways, so this whole distributed part is one of the things that makes Git quote unquote special. Stay, we have cool images. And so this distributed part is what makes Git different from other version control systems. So rather than have only one central place where you have the whole version history of changes for the code, let's talk about code, right? As it was actually common in version control systems from before, like CVS, Subversion. Did anybody use Subversion? A lot of you, yeah. So tell me, how was it when you wanted to do branching? I'm just that, yeah, exactly, like no, right? So yeah, this is where Git comes in, because this whole branching, totally easy, right? And anyways, so the difference is that actually every developer on his local machine has the whole history of changes, also locally on his computer. So that's the main difference, right? From the usual version control systems, so-called centralized, right? Anyways, a little bit of history. Git was made by this charming fellow, which of course he is Linus Torvalds, and he's the creator of Linux. Those of you who don't know, but I think everybody knows that, right? And in case you were wondering, he used this finger to write Git. I'm not kidding. He does seem to have some, personality issues. And actually, on one big conference, he called people who don't use Git idiots. I kid you not. Of course, people flipped out on him. I'm not going to go that far because, come on, dude. Either way, thanks for another great contribution, because obviously the guy knows his stuff. 2 things that he made that are free that millions of people use, right? But then again, it comes with the cost of unicorn developer, where he's just, I guess, better than everybody. But then again, don't sue me. Anyways, so how do we even start, right? So let's do this. After you've installed Git, right? In order to make your own repository, remember I said you can also have it locally. Technically, you never have to even go to GitHub or anywhere else. You can just have your Git locally. So after you've installed Git, and honestly, it's just simple. You go to the website, download or whatever, and you have Git installed, right? It's like literally download, next, yes to all malware, and you're done, right? So after you have Git installed, let's do this and show how do you actually use Git. So let's be original and first drink water, and let's say that on desktop, because why not, we're going to create a new folder. Am I typing? Yes, I am. NJ. And in order to create a local Git repo, all you have to do is use Git init. Boom, done. So now you have the local Git repository. I'm going to be jumping a lot from the slide in the back. I hope it works. Yeah, it does. And cool. So now we have an empty Git repository. Yay. What we're going to do now is we're going to add some simple file. So in case you're following,
I'm fine.
You're fine? Okay, cool. README. Okay, so we add some text, I don't know, GitFlow Meetup. Wait for this. Cool. We save this file. We go back to the terminal, and you saw that command git status. That's a very useful command, which you will use probably all the time. And what it does, it tells you the status of your current repo. And what this says here, what does it say here is, probably you can read it. So it says that the readme.md file is untracked by Git. So what does that mean? Git doesn't even know what this file is supposed to be, right? So, and it even, yes, down here, I don't have a pointer. Down here it says, in order to add it, you have to use git add. So, again, where's my mouse? Since this file is now not in Git and you want to add it, Linus was so good that he used the command called git add. And what do you have to do? Well, no. So let's use git add and name of the file. And that's it. So now you've instructed Git to add readme.md file to Git. How do you know this? If you again repeat the git status command, you will see that now Git knows about this file and it says, yeah, there's a new file, readme.md. Okay? Of course, if you were to have multiple files, of course you wouldn't go git add this file, that file, whatever file. Usually what we do is you just use the dot, which adds all the files in the current directory and all the recursive ones as well. And okay, cool. So 2 commands so far, right? actually 3, git init, git add, git status, right? Okay, so, okay, we have this now, right? Added file. What? Well, you need to commit it. What does this mean? You need to, let's call it, save it to your local repo. And in order to do that, you use the command called Git Commit. What you always have to pass is the commit message. And let's say, I don't know, added readme. And here's the thing. You can use whatever commit message you like. However, good practice, and that's a very good tip. Do yourselves a favor and use meaningful commit messages. When you'll be searching through code later after months and months or whatever, this will help you immensely, right? There's actually, so we're going to get into that later, but if you have Git connected to your ticketing system, usually what we do, in the commit messages, we tag them in a certain way so that our ticketing system knows that we actually, this commit is tied to a certain ticket. For example, then you would have your commit message would look a bit different, you know? But anyways, a good tip, just write meaningful commit messages. Anyways, okay. So that was the 4th command. And now, say we want to push this local repo that we have to the remote repo. So what remote means, you know, somewhere on the cloud these days, right? So we're going to use GitHub for that. And since we don't have anything set up now, so what we're going to do, well, we're going to go to GitHub. If you don't have the account, you create an account and all that stuff. And you create a new repository. Yeah, sure, remind me later. Let's call it originally NJ Meetup. And you can just click the create repository. Then it helps you a bit here. So don't you have yet a repository? Yes, we actually do have the repository. And so all that we need to do is execute these 2 commands. And I'm going to explain both of them. So we just paste this here. So what just happened? The first one, this one right here, yeah, the highlighting is not very good. The first one added the so-called remote. And what this just means, it defined for Git so that it knows where the remote is or where the actual, you know, server is for Git. And this other command, so the git push origin master, git push, as you can imagine, pushes the local repo to the remote repo. And what does this master here mean? Every Git repo, when initialized by default, has the main branch called master. And that's why this is just how the command looks like. So you're pushing the master branch to the origin branch. Boom, that's it. So, again, my mouse. Now, as we said, you know, don't get cranky because like what? This was like 5 commands, which honestly is all that you need. 5, 6 commands in order to be able to work with Git, unless stuff happens. But we're not going to go into that, right? There's Stack Overflow for that. Anyways, so we said before, and when I asked you, you know, Subversion, how did you do branching? And it was a pain, right? I remember honestly. So Subversion should have solved the issue of copying folders and having backups, right? If I try something else, but it didn't, I ended up doing that yet again. But when Git came along, it made this whole notion of branching pretty easy. And I'm just going to show you, you know, how this actually works. So, for example, say you're on the master branch, right? And you want to try out some new feature, and if it goes bad, you don't want to kill. You you just want to throw that branch away without affecting your main work. So you would just use a simple command to create a new branch, try out stuff there. If it's good, if it works, go back to the master branch and so-called merge those changes back to the master, right? So actually, let's do this. Let's one command which I intentionally didn't mention because I have my terminal set up so that it displays nicely on which branch I am. You can just literally Google git bash display, something like that. The first hit, you'll find it. But in order, if you really want to know on which branch you currently are, there's a command git branch, and it will tell you I'm on master. Setting up your terminal in order to display things like this is a worthy investment, and it's like really easy to do because you always know on what branch you are. You also like here. What does this mean? This means that the current repo is clean. There's no changes, right? And stuff like that. It's useful, and we are visual. What's this? So actually, I was setting this up today, and let me see if I can. Yeah, I don't have it open. I believe that it was Git style terminal something. Yeah, so I believe that it's actually this first link, display current branch name. Honestly, there are a lot of versions.
That's it for Mac OS. How about for Windows?
What?
For Windows?
There is for Windows, there's for everything. Like, really, yeah. So depending on your operating system, there are solutions, right? Anyways, so as I said, let's do this. So currently, we're on the master branch, right? Hello.
Sorry.
No worries. And what we're going to do, we're going to use a simple command to create a new branch. So let's do this. So git checkout b, and let's call it new feature. Okay. This command is actually two commands in one. What it first did, it created a branch called new feature, of course underline, but I'm not going to say new underline feature, right? Out of the master branch, right? Why I said two commands? Because the second part, the checkout part, actually switched over to this new branch. Two commands would be git branch new feature, that would be one command. The second one would be git checkout new feature. Okay, but this is a one-liner, which honestly I believe everybody uses because when you create a new branch, you just want to go to it, right? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to change something. So in the README file, okay, let's do it like this. So I get some, I don't know, pizza. You save it, right? So we made the change, we saved it. You can immediately, so here's the fun part. You immediately see there's one change. It tells me, there's a change. But also, what?
No, that's nice. I really like
Yeah, it is. And honestly, it's like I use Z Shell, and it has its own also styling that's different from this one. So yeah, literally whatever operating system you're on, look it up. It's very useful. And also, if you would do git status, it will tell you that the README file is modified. So, okay, let's say we're happy with the change that we did. And again, let's repeat git add. You see, now I use the dot, right? And git commit. I'm really wondering if, anyways, git commit added new feature. And as you can see, this died. Or can you, huh?
Wait for the
Your microphone.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I guess.
I'll get more letters.
Not hear the
Maybe.
speaker.
Oh, it died. I mean,
Your voice does carry.
yeah, you can hear me clearly, right?
Yeah, I turned down the AC so it wouldn't be so loud.
Cool, thanks. Anyways, so we add the file, then we say whatever the change was. And immediately here you can see, if your commit log looks added new feature, added new feature, added new feature, I'm going back to the part where I said, make your commit messages meaningful. Okay, so I believe that this will give you like the list of commits, but then again, and if you would see everywhere, added new feature, that's not useful, right? So again, repeating this, why? Because so recently we were like looking at small stuff that can actually help us a lot. This is one of the things, make commit messages meaningful. Anyways, so we created a new feature, right? Now let's say we're happy with it, right? The change that we did, was approved by QA, by PMs and whatnot. And what do we do now? Well, now we want to take these changes from this new feature and bring them back to the master branch. We call it merge them back. Why merge? Well, because the actual command is called Git Merge. However, first what you need to do is you need to position yourself to the master branch, right? And you do this with git checkout command. So git checkout master, you can immediately now see that we are on the master branch, right? Again, useful. And what you do now is, where's my mouse again? What we do now is just use git merge and the name of the branch, which we want to merge. New. Boom, and it's done. So again, how can we now maybe check what happened? Well, if we go back to our file, boom, it's here. Actually, one thing that I could have, would have, showed you is when we moved back to master branch, I had to show you this file. What do you think it would say there? Yeah, exactly, right? And then when you merge, you take the changes that were there, right? Anyways, again, my mouse. So now that you've seen how Git makes this branching literally easy, a lot of people are actually coming up with their own ways of managing branches, right? And one of these models, so to speak, or ways, approaches, call them whatever you want, seems to be very popular in the community, and it's called GitFlow. So now I'm gonna introduce you into this GitFlow way of managing branches. So, okay, deep breath, okay, it's working. So when you first take a look at this picture, it's a freaking mess, right? But actually, I hope I'm going to show you how it's actually easy to follow it. So you have two main branches, right? The master branch, the blue one, right? And the developer branch, okay? The yellow one. Then you have, so all work happens on this develop branch. Then you also have you don't probably see what's written there. It should be, and it is feature branches. So the purple ones are called feature branches. Here's the thing, you can have as many feature branches as you like, right? Also, you have I'm wondering why this is not, so the green ones, you don't see it, but it says release branches, right? You use them when you're preparing the release. And you also have the hotfix branch, which you use when QA figures out, or unfortunately your customers figure out that something's wrong in the production build, right? And then you use the hotfix branch to fix that and get it back to master again. The master branch contains the code, well, let's be honest, should contain the code that's currently in production, okay? So, how would like a normal workflow work with GitFlow? GitFlow. I'm gonna go and explain. If I don't answer the question, please. First thing, shockingly, but you have to have a Git repo, right? Then you have to initialize the GitFlow repo, okay? And after that, when you set it up, and we are going to do that step by step, you start developing on a develop branch. Then let's say you want to try out some new feature, and you go and you try this new feature. When the feature is done, you merge it back into develop. And let's say you're happy with the current state. You did your sprint planning, you did all the tickets from the sprint planning, and you want to go out into production with it. With that, so we started on the develop branch, right? We started our feature branch, we did some commits, we were actually happy with it. We went back, when you finish a branch, you merge it back to develop. And at this point, we were like, okay, let's do a release, right? And you used, let's do it like this. And you used the release branch, here's the thing, any bug fixing, so here's the thing, that's my GitFlow model. Do you want to do like any bug fixes here? Honestly, doesn't make a difference. But if you want to follow it by the book, you should do it in the release branch, right? And when that is done, you finish the release, which does a few things actually, and you're going to see step by step as we're going to do it. It's going to merge it back to master. You're also going to tag it so that later you can easily find it, blah, blah, blah. And it's also going to back merge it into the develop, okay? So all this blah, blah, blah stuff.
So,
yes?
your stuff tested.
What?
You test it before you merge it into master.
Yes. So here's the thing. At this point, when you're done with features, right, you most probably have a staging environment or something where you push that. You have staging environment set so that, for example, in our case, right, in the develop, when I merge back, and of course it had to go through the code reviews and pull requests and whatnot, here at this point, we actually give it to the testers and they actually test, right? And they come back with us if something's wrong.
So do you push onto the master branch or release branch after it passes QA, or only after it passes the smoke test and the CI?
Oh no, so you...
Are you only push? Go ahead, what's your approach?
Yeah, so we only put the master after we are done with the QA and after, it has been approved by QA.
Okay. Then the other question is, so say I've got a release, it's gone out, the 1.0 has gone out to the field,
Yes.
That's my release branch, I tagged it, put the 1.0 there, great.
Yes.
So I'm working on 1.0.1, I'm using or 1.1, whatever. And then while I'm working on that, I've got, I guess, another dev branch and another release branch for 1.1.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm like asking, and then we find a bug in the field,
Okay.
right? So then your model is to create a bug fix branch, feature branch, whatever the heck you want to call it,
Yeah.
off the release 1.0 branch.
So here's the thing.
How do you make
No. Okay, I understand. I hope I understand the question. You never go to the bug fix from the release 1. Whatever version. You always go from the master branch, which at the time is the release that's out in the wild.
Okay,
Right?
got it. So you pull from the 1.0 tag.
Because here's the thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing that I didn't mention. These, feature branches, release branches, when they're quote unquote finished, they're deleted. Boom, done. When you quote unquote finish, and you will see this in action.
Go ahead. Do you erase history?
No, you delete this.
Refine and delete, you just delete the rest?
Yeah, when you're done, when the feature is merged back to develop, you delete the feature branch. That's my GitFlow model. And you will see this in actual action. Same for release.
But it's still in like the Git within state.
Yeah, in history.
The history's there, but just people don't see the branch when they're looking at it.
Yes.
You're just deleting the label.
Because it's already
Okay, makes perfect sense.
Okay, cool.
So you don't need to have branch. It's already
Yeah.
We're gonna, when I'm done with all this, we're gonna cover parts where, and I'm gonna tell you why our backend doesn't use GitFlow, but we're gonna get to that, okay? So, Yeah. Anyways, so now we're actually gonna do that. In order to install GitFlow on your computer, if you're on the Mac, like literally simple brew install GitFlow, that's it. For other operating systems, it's similar. What?
I'm not finding it.
For Windows? Or?
I'm not finding it. I'm on 200.
I'm gonna show you one cheat sheet, which
Yeah, the cheat sheets, I'm finding. I'm not finding automation.
we can take a look at that later. Like, we'll stick around here, so any help or any questions. Anyways, so when you installed GitFlow tool, so here's the thing. There's a GitFlow model, and you can follow it. That's, the mind-blowing thing. You can follow it yourself by typing. But what you will see here, what the GitFlow tool, literally CLI basically, does for you is it does a lot of commands for you. So with one git feature finish, it does 4 commands for you. We're gonna see that actually in action. So let's go. Okay, we're here. Let's do git flow init. Actually, so this is a very cool. There it is here. You just write git flow cheat sheet. This will be the first link.
It's a Git dashboard. That's the
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, so it depends. There are different versions, 2 of them. One of them has been discontinued, and then some other guy took over. Yeah, literally took over. I mean, we're talking about the tool, right? And then it's like git space flow, whatever, right? Because the original one had some problems. I know exactly which problems. For example, when you finish a branch, it didn't delete the branch on the origin for whatever reason. And that, as you will see, as I'm going to show you, is a problem because by the model, you have to delete it also on the origin, right? Anyways, so this cheat sheet is quite nice. So yeah, OS X, Linux, Windows. We all know that these commands never work immediately, so you're going to probably have to work around it in a way.
That's why I want to run everything in Docker.
What?
That's why I want to run everything in Docker.
Yeah. Anyways, so let's initialize our GitFlow repo. However, I'm going to tell you let me tell you a secret. Because of the way this GitFlow is set up, if I do GitFlow init now, it will fail. I know this because I tried. So, and why? Because it's searching, it requires one additional branch, which is usually called develop. So if you update or if you use that other git dash flow, it will do this automatically. This version just doesn't have it. Yeah, it will automatically create, but this one doesn't. So anyways, so if we do git flow init, it will ask me, what is the, so here's the thing. If you don't like it to be called master, you can call it whatever, Superman, whatever, It's, you can customize it however you want. So, what's the name of our production release branch? Master. What's the name of our next release, as in development? Well, develop. What's going to be the prefix for the feature branches? Feature slash. You can literally use nothing here, but then again, it distinguishes your branches, the feature branches from the auto branches, so why not, right? So, and then this is by default, and we all like defaults, so same for bug fix, same for release, same for hotfix. And now you're going to ask me, okay, what's the support? I honestly don't know. I never used the support one. It's not in the GitFlow model, so whatever. Anyways, as Hank Moody from Californication would say. Anyways. Oops.
But you don't have support branch. You will create for you, or you will not.
In my life, I have never used support branch for anything. No, honestly.
Right now, the GitFlows, this party
It is.
asking you this, right?
Yes.
You don't have
So
it.
just so that it knows, if you were to use, I'm honestly don't know what the command would be. Git flow, let's see. Yeah, Git flow support start, then it would use that prefix for the support branches. But then again, as you saw previously on the image, there's no such thing in the Git flow model. Is this an updated version? Maybe, I don't know. But then, like honestly, I never used it, so there's that. Anyways, okay, so cool. We initialized our Git flow repository, and now what we're gonna do is git checkout. I'm just testing one to checkout develop. One thing that is also useful in Do It, you see, when I'm pressing tab, nothing's happening. On my actual laptop, you can install the so-called Git completion for your version of, Bash or Z Shell or whatever you're using. Very useful. For example, because usually the branches have longer names, and then typing them all out is just a pain in the beak. So yeah. Okay, so let's start a new feature. Git flow feature start. Let's call it, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Something easy.
Feature Meetup.
What? Okay, actually, here's the thing. You said feature X. What we're gonna name it, we're gonna name it X. We're gonna see now why. So, a couple of things happen here, right? And this is where the GitFlow tool comes in handy. So you can see summary of actions. The GitFlow tool created a new branch called feature/X based off of developer branch, and it checked out the feature/X branch. And now what you can of course do is you can start working. So let's do, I have it open already. And you do some changes, right? New change. X, whatever, and you write something global, whatever. You save it, you go back, you again add these changes, you commit the changes to your local repo. Come on. So, happy with the feature, whatever. You added this, and what you want to do now, at this point you also want to test it, right? What you want to do now when you're happy with the feature changes, you do git flow feature, and also there's git flow completion, which you don't have to always type everything as I'm typing now. Feature finish X, again, just X, not feature X, right? And when you do that, it does two things. So this time 3 commands. I did 3 commands for you. So the feature branch, feature/X, was merged back into develop. Feature X, feature/X branch has been locally deleted, and it checked out the develop branch, right? And okay, so at this point we're like, as I said before, okay, so cool, this feature is good, we want to go out with it. So how do we do that? Well, we use the release, or we do the release. So how do we do that? Well, git flow release start, and actually, so who's on a Mac and uses text? TextMate, right? Best thing ever. Like the best thing ever. What does it do? So for example, I would do this. It would type git status or whatever command that you want. Or, it's just great. This is not my laptop. Why I didn't bring it from Croatia here, because I don't want to deal with customs. Yet again, I had that before. So anyways. So start and the name of the branch. Again, it did a few things, right? It created a new release slash, I'm not going to read this, right? It created a new branch based off of develop. It put you on this release slash 1.0 branch, and now it kind of like reminds you of what to do here. So it says, bump up the version number now. And I'm going to go back to this where I'm going to tell you why we use this on the mobile side, and they don't use it on the back end. Okay? Just remember this. So at this point, you would commit any last fixes, you know, whatever, or tiny thing comes up. And when you're done, you just do, actually, you just do GitFlow release finish. At this point, you will have to do a few things. So now it asks you for the commit message for merging, and also a message for tagging. You cannot leave this blank. I tried. I don't know, you would say, oops. You would say version 1.0, for example, and then usually we list a few major like changes that happened here. Somebody also tags a few tickets, actually links to the tickets in the ticketing system, but not everybody uses this. But for that, so when you go to the tag on GitHub, when you click on the tag, you would see these. Yeah. Yes. For the tag. Okay. So also what you see here, what's doing, it's merging back into the develop. Summary of actions. It did 5 commands for you. It merged the release branch back to master. It tagged it as 1.0. It merged it back to develop as well, and it deleted the release branch. There we go back to the question of, you know, branches that are being deleted, and it checked you out back to the develop branch.
You'll get the conflicts on.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, and so, even though we might have collaborators on our projects, right? It so very often feels like this. And so in GitHub, you could set up someone that you know, so for example, you know, it's your personal project or whatever, and you can go to, you know, settings, collaborators or whatever, and add people there. Or if you're, of course, your organization, you have the so-called GitHub for organizations, right? And you have all that set up. However, I would doubt it that you would like to have your junior developers be able even to commit to master, right? Because of, well, reasons, right? And actually, there is a thing, solution to all of this, which not actually only solves the problem of people just committing to master, but also improves the code quality. These things are called pull requests and code reviews. And we're actually going to show this in action, but you know, like too long didn't read version, that's the best thing ever. Because not only do you have like better sense of team ownership of the code, because more people are actually looking at the code, right, and approving it. We're going to show what I mean by this, approving it. And your junior developers can get up to speed way faster because, you know, he codes something, and then a senior looks at it and he's like, okay, it's fine, but you know, you could improve this, 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 and this. And when you get immediate feedback on your code, that's way better. You learn faster, right? So, was there a question?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Looks like you are moving to a different topic.
Yes,
So
a bit.
you finished the
But no. We are going to go back to that
Oh,
part. Yeah, we are. We are. So anyways, how does this work in practice? Well, you create a new feature branch, and then you do it a bit differently. You publish this feature branch to the remote repo. Then you go on GitHub and you create a so-called pull request. After that, you're, you know, either however you have it structured in your company, team lead, senior engineer, whoever, takes a look at that code pull request, he code reviews it, and if it's all good, then you are able to merge it back to master. Okay? So we're actually going to show this for real, folks. Yeah. But in general, I actually heard it all from, I review my own code to, I don't have time for that. And honestly, even though, you may have heard from the, upper management that, code quality is important. The sheer truth sometimes is that, that's not something that they necessarily care about, right? We want new features, we want more revenue. But that's where we come in, and we have to care about code quality because we're the ones who are maintaining it, right? And we're just kicking ourselves in the, again, I'm going to be if we're not taking care of that, right? So, what to do then, right? Well, a good advice that I got from one of our directors was just right? Calculate the time that you need to do the code reviews, pull requests into the time estimate of when you say, oh, you know what, I think that ticket will take me, I don't know, 3 days. Do account for code reviews, pull requests, and possible changes, right? It's just that. And this doesn't happen overnight. You don't do time estimates overnight. You get better at them, right?
So let me ask you a question. Project managers know this, right? So that when they hear the job, they know how to adjust.
How project management, it depends on the manager.
Yeah,
if you didn't manage it, it's beating them up and won't let them do it.
That's where I would say, in our case, director of engineering comes in, and we have to communicate with our PMs that, so you want your dev to be able to tell you, oh, I'm going to finish this feature in a day. Well, in order to do that, the ticket or the feature has to be broken down into, as it's in the book called single piece flow, or and every ticket more or less takes the same amount of time. This doesn't happen overnight. It's constantly, you have to work some time on this process to actually make it good. And here's the thing. So in order for this to actually work, this thing, so that you estimate, again, we kind of like pivoted it now, but in order to do estimates right, you at least have to do this process for some time so that you know, okay, so this team is able to finish, I don't know, 7 tickets on a week. So I can do my sprint planning and I have a better sense of how much they are able to accomplish. But then again, this is going back to the PM's side but I have to say that our PMs are pretty good and they understand this. So yeah, anyways, as I said, this pull requests and code reviews are literally going to help you on the long run. It's going to give your team a sense of code ownership, and it will get your junior devs up to speed faster. At least that's what we've seen. Anyways, so of course, we're going to do this and demo. So let's go here and let's create a new branch. New feature, GitFlow feature start. Best ever. Again, let's do some changes, right? That's good. Oops, I almost wrote that. Let's add it. Let's commit it. A lot of people ask me, so wait, you write all these commit messages by hand? Are you like, what, dinosaur? And then I'm like, wait, you don't know how to use terminal? You're not my friend anymore. I'm kidding a bit, but you know, terminal should be your friend. So just saying. Best ever. Excellent. So we did this change. We did this feature. We like it. And whoa, okay, I see what happened. Yes, exactly, special character. So Git Commit message. Yeah, cool. So at this point, now what we're going to do is what we used to do before, if you remember, we just finished the branch, right? But now we're not going to do that. Now we're going to use the command git flow feature publish best ever. And what this is going to do, we go back to our, where's my mouse again?
If you leave off the feature name, can it like assume you want to push a feature currently checked after?
I honestly have to check. Then again, why I wouldn't care. So here I have to write, but as I said, on my laptop I have the completion set, so I can literally just type that all the time. So even like if you have more features that start with the same name, you just type tap, and you know you can choose like with the keyboard. So what just happened is if we refresh this, our repo, we will see that we just pushed a new feature. So what you do now, you go here and you click compare and pull request. Let's try to make this a bit bigger. Here you would leave some comment of, what are you doing? What are the changes? What were the changes that you did? And I would say also very important, what we also do, we link to the tickets in the actual ticketing system because it's good practice, right? And here, you woulda, coulda, shoulda, some people do it, some don't, but it's a good practice to, if you actually really want somebody to take a look at your code, right? You request the reviews from a certain person.
So you use the comments in the pull request to sort of create traceability for the user stories and whatever tickets you have, and then you have something else that sort of pulls it out. So
personally, as much info as you can get here, the better. Not when everything goes well, but when it doesn't, so that you can trace back, right? So you would like request people.
So you have right access to that.
Of course. Yes.
And I can do this, I can issue a pull request against a repository I don't have access to, but I'm giving them live on my repository.
So this right here, somebody else. It works a bit differently when you're not in the organization. Okay.
Right.
You could fork my code
And then
push
push pull request.
yes, do the pull request. But we're talking now when an organization, when you have your dev team, right, who has access to a certain repo. Maybe you have it set up so that your master branch is quote unquote locked, so that you just cannot, if you don't have the access, right, merge it back so only the senior or the team lead can do that. For example, if you really want it, honestly, we don't have it. Is it bad? Is it not? We don't have it, right? Anyways, so you leave the comment or whatever, and you click the create pull request. And at this point, based on the ticketing system that you use, you would go and put the ticket in code review or whatever. You could also tag people there. We have it, so I'm just curious, what do you use? So we use a tool called Clubhouse. We tried a lot. We used Pivotal. I used Jira. Actually used Blossom, something like that. Not for a very long time. Does anybody use something else?
yeah, we use Jira. Helix from Earthworks.
Uh-huh.
I got that.
Yeah.
But it's another tool.
Exactly.
And you got the REST interface to do whatever you want.
Exactly, so, when people ask me, oh, what do you use? I'm just like, okay, we use this because it works for us, right? So don't try to, when you say Jira and then you want to try and force Jira on a smaller team, it makes no sense, right? Use what makes sense for you. Because we're not doing Scrum, we're not doing Kanban, we're doing Scrumban, sort of, right? So, Clubhouse has lanes, as in if you're using Clubhouse, Kanban. So again, it works for us, right? And so at this point, somebody else comes in, reviews your code, gives you comments, approves, or of course disapproves. If your pull request was disapproved, then you go in, you make changes, and again you commit. And basically you collaborate as much as you can, because here's the thing. So we are. Our team is not all in one, this place. We have people from around the world. So as much communication can happen here is good, right? And let's say that everything went well. Your superior said, yes, awesome, this is good code. At this point, yes, you could just click merge pull request here, right? However, if you want to follow the GitFlow model, then you go back here, and what you do is, okay, let's do it like this. Not look. GitFlow feature. Who knows what I need to write? Finish. Yeah. Finish. And what will happen immediately, you will see in the background, when this is done. You see what happened here? So
that you like the reviewers have to approve it, or you don't care, you just sort of assume whoever did that?
Oh, no. Personally, yeah, you are not allowed. Again, you could, but you are not allowed to do that yourself, because that's just against our.
Right. But you don't have any enforcement that whoever was reviewing it actually can approve or something, and the GitFlow command will actually take the pull request.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So on the mobile side, we do it like this, and here's where I'm going in the backend side. For them, honestly, they only use master. I honestly, Sean, don't know if you use the develop branch. No. So they just use master and feature branches. And they do the pull request. When they do the pull request, they do either, actually, I think you do have another branch for QA or something, right?
Maybe some projects.
Yeah, on some, for example, I know that on Trap Code, we have like a master branch and a QA branch. We don't call it develop, we call it QA branch. Then you can go here on the GitHub interface and click here to approve the pull request. And what it does, it actually merges your feature branch back to develop or master or whatever branch you made the pull request for.
And you can configure GitHub to actually require pull requests and code review approval from the second version.
Yeah.
So what I sort of heard is it depends on the maturity of your team and how they want to work and where they sort
The
of
size.
Yes.
size, et cetera.
Yes.
So ranging what you're trying to nudge them towards. Okay.
For example, on the backend team, I'm not sure if on every project, there's a rule that 2 people need to approve, not just 1, right? So again, as you said, depending on your team size, what?
Is there a way on GitHub to require you must have 2 people with you? Because I don't see any place.
There is a website now.
Are there a way to set that?
Yeah, we didn't actually do it because we wanted to be able to override it. We just wanted that as a best practice. We didn't want it as a strict rule, but you can set it so that you have to have multiple approvals before you can actually press the
But
button.
that's for the entire vehicle, not for branch. We have situations, some feature only need 1 reviewer, some needs multiple reviewer.
I think you might be able to break it down further than maps. I know you can definitely say that you only need those rules for master, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's also
That's the GitHub feature.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
also automated testing, there's also continuous integration, there's also canary deployment environments, so this is not the only barrier
Right.
to breaking production.
Yeah. Anyways, so even if you don't adopt this whole, GitFlow approach, I actually urge you to at least give, pull requests and code reviews a chance. And honestly, you'll be amazed. I kid you not. So, and as I said, you can just use your master branch and feature branches, and that's it, right? Again, depending on your use case, right? Anyways, this image is really true. So the less what the fucks per minute you have, the better the code quality is. And also a piece of hard-earned advice or hard-learned advice is that keep your pull request small in terms of number of lines of code that have been changed, and commit as often as possible. And because I'm guilty of this as well. I see 500 lines of code have changed. It's good. The guy probably knows what he's doing. But then you have 10 lines of code. Actually, again, on the mobile side, we don't have this enforcement, but on the back end, I believe that, what was it, 200 lines of code max?
I don't think that really ever stuck.
Yeah, we were going back and forth to agree on something, but then again, it comes down to preference.
Yeah, it's a guideline. It doesn't work for when you're checking in a bunch of templates or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope that you learned something today. And yeah, as I said, I'm not an expert, but ask me. I'm gonna help. That's it. Please go.
What do you do in a situation where you have two programmers, maybe different locations, different time periods, time zones,
Okay.
and they have to work on a single piece of code?
How
How do you do that? Because you have both programmers independently making changes on the same piece of code.
That's exactly the problem that Git is solving. So, for example, back in the day,
But you have to merge everything back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Give it a go. You'll
Okay.
see. You'll see.
The merge is on
For example,
It'll show you this, so you can see what that's.
Okay.
for example, those of you who remember CBS,
No, it wasn't.
yeah, the problem was, a guy on Friday checked out the file, or who here remembers VB6 and their, what was it called, source?
Visual source safe.
Source safe. Yeah, a guy, listen to this, a guy checks out the file on Friday evening and he goes on a vacation and on Monday we have a situation, we need to solve it and we can't do anything with the file because the file is checked out. So that was bad, right? Yeah, Git made a lot of things better. I mean, Subversion even made a lot of things better, right? So yeah.
In general, if you have people that are not co-located, you're
Yeah.
better off trying to isolate what they're working
Yeah,
on,
that's
rather than
what
work
I'm
on the exact same thing, because then you're gonna have a lot of problems where you're waiting on one another, or, that kind of
That's
thing.
exactly the problem.
So if you have subsystems, like it's better to break up subsystems rather
Okay.
than individual.
Yeah, but in general, version control systems are here to solve this problem. Will there be conflicts? Sure, there will, But that's the time when you use git blame and it's like, yeah, you did this thing.
Until someone goes by and solve the tab and spacing, and gets people in for everything.
Yeah, that's why Go comes in handy, which,
Go for the win.
yeah,
Question. So at the end, you start with the GitFlow, start a new branch, write feature branch, then work on something, make changes, and push it to your GitHub repo, somebody will create a PR, somebody will review, right? At the end of the process, you run that the GitFlow finish.
yes,
That will basically merge into the development branch,
Yes.
the development branch. Will that also merge into master?
no. That's where you start the production, the release, right?
Okay.
The release
But
stuff.
one more thing is, right, because in my company, we don't allow people to merge their own branch.
Yep.
So I think a lot of companies has this kind of policy. So you create a feature branch, you need to ask somebody to review for you, and that person will shoot the merge for you. You can't merge by yourself. So in order to let that person to merge, it's just extra work, hassle to get branch and
yeah. So in this case,
so they will just merge out like
that wouldn't work. So they would merge and get and then so I guess that you would have to. Yeah, then you would have to check out that branch.
Yeah, you need to check out. So that's extra step. So I
Yeah.
don't say how useful that will.
So again, we're going back where in some cases, yes, the GitFlow tool maybe doesn't help that much in this case. So just master branch, feature branches, merging and pull requesting on GitHub itself. Right? Again, try to make your process as simple as possible, because if you complicate it, I mean, you got it right away, but does everybody get it right away? You know, and then you have why the tool. So here's the thing: why the tool? It does a certain way in a certain same way every time, but then sometimes you have people who still call their features feature branch, and you know, this tool kind of maybe helps avoid that, because we are people. We like to do things differently, right?
Yeah. Also, I mean, my company, we used to have a debate about this is one way to do things, right? The developer wants to develop a new feature, feature branch. The second way is really like an open source community. They fork the repo and doing something, then create a PR. So I'm not sure which way it's like, I would say more popular or better.
No,
because open source community definitely don't allow you to create a feature branch in there.
Of course. And that's a
repo.
solution that works for open source project, forking. And then you do the pull request. But we're in a company where you actually have the access to the repo, forking wouldn't make sense. That's why, because you do have the access.
Like something doing that.
You have the access.
They lock down the repo, everybody in the fork, and to.
I honestly don't know someone who would be doing it like that in an actual company too.
Okay.
Well,
I don't know.
in this case, your flow, as soon as you do development on your local machine.
Of course.
I have 15 machines.
Okay.
So I don't really do anything local on my laptop, my desktop somewhere.
But you do. So whenever you work on your
I
code,
gotta go publish all the time and resync it.
yeah, you.
So it's almost better for me to have, you know, a notion that's pull it down, really might want throwing the local repository around. Just mine, no, for myself.
For yourself, if you have, again, you would. So on a new computer, you bought it, right? You want to play with this one. You will first download the repo, and you can do with it whatever you want. But again, the benefit of Git is that you have all the local changes. Yeah. So again, I think I'm right when I say that with Subversion, I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Could you, when you did the kind of like the push, there was no notion of pushing committing locally, right?
All things to the repository.
You had to just go to the server, right? And so I don't know, you lost connection or whatever, you couldn't push, right? So yeah.
Also, actually, I asked this question at the beginning. So, GitFlow is just one type of branching strategy.
Yes.
Have you heard about others? Like
So,
way to do branching?
Feature branching, I believe that GitHub calls them I think that GitHub does this feature branching, where literally they have the master branch and the feature branches. That's it.
So they don't have develop branch?
No, that's, again, of course there are more models, right? And here's the thing, you can, if your team of course agrees, you can set whatever makes sense for you till you actually follow this, right? Somebody came up with GitFlow because it made sense for them, right? So yeah.
So GitFlow, great way to do it. I like the idea of having a GitFlow tool to sort of nudge people along using it. I have to remember all the extra commands that follow GitFlow. So I guess the question is for back-end person, you seem to use a different way. What's different about the way you do it, and why do you do it differently?
It just adds steps, complexity, and procedures, something that doesn't need it for such small teams, especially when most of our products have 2 people working on them. I think if you had
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the decision on when to go to GitFlow versus keeping your life simple is always better. It depends on so one factor is the size of the team.
Sure.
Probably the main factor.
I mean,
Anything else?
I think it's more like the something you said before, like the bubble experience of the team, how well they work together, just like the general level of mutual respect and everyone knowing what's going on. I mean, I just think, I think if you need it, you know, if you don't know you need it, I wouldn't bother. But I'm also very lazy and simple.
And here's one thing. So, as you may remember, when we did the feature for the release, when we did the whole release process, it told us, remember to increase the build number, which is anybody in mobile?
Is it do semantic versioning for you, or you still have to do that yourself?
You have to do it yourself, right?
Okay.
But multiple times have I seen commits which didn't pass the build because the build number wasn't increased, right? I'm talking about Android and iOS, right? So the mobile development. So this kind of like makes you remember, hey, you know, up your build number, right?
You see, I usually let you push it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. Yeah.
Is the pull request is something only available on GitHub, or how about it?
I believe that others have the same notion of it. I believe it all.
Feature.
Yeah, Bitbucket has, right? I guess it has same thing. If it
Because it's not part of Git itself.
no, exactly. Git itself doesn't have that. GitHub, they did that, and it was a good thing, right?
Well, Git's had it forever, except it's in the form of being a true distributed version control system where if I push something up one level to a guy who's a maintainer for the kernel audio driver code, he implicitly approves it by merging it into his branch that he then pushes to Linus. So it's actually many humans in the pyramid as opposed to a pretty flat group of developers. GitHub just formalized it into a thing with a name.
Cool. Yeah.
So how do you handle things like promotion? So and tagging things. I'm like, okay, development finishes something, they're ready to hand it off to a team, you know, or whatever. And they sort of, I'd like to be able to say, promote it, tag this cache on my Git branch, you know, my feature branch, or it's ready to be tested by QA, right? And then another one, so we sort of go back and forth and test out. Do you guys do that at all, or?
Yeah, sometimes, so you can have a branch that when you push to it, it deploys to a generic deployment. And then, so we use automated builds.
Right.
So if you push to master, it tests it, builds it, deploys it. So if you push to, say, the staging branch, it can test, build, and push to a dev server, and then you can notify QA, hey, hit the test site, make sure it's working, or download.
Same thing, or as we use Bitrise. Again,
Use what?
Bitrise. Again, you know, CI, whatever. Again, why it works for us. Simple. Yeah.
So how does the version number that you put in there, GitFlow, relate to the branches and stuff? Is it enforced? Is it just rides along? Or is it
Honestly, I could have put whatever there.
Okay.
So, yeah. But it kind of like makes sense that you put the number, right?
And on the back end, we don't do version numbers at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's also one of the reasons why that whole release doesn't make sense on the back at all.
Yeah, there's no release. We can commit to production 100 times a day. They have to get it to Apple or Android, have it go through an approval process, and then get deployed. So
They
can deploy it once a week. You can deploy it 3 times a day.
Cool. Any other questions?
how do you link the PR with ticket?
Oh, simple. So commits. I'm gonna give you an actual example. The Clubhouse that we use, you just set, the authorization with GitHub and in a way, whatever, it's simple, like, click, whatever. And then in the actual commit messages, you have to put it in, how do you call it, brackets? And you just type CH and the number of the ticket. It recognizes that, and then it shows in the actual ticket, it shows all the commits for that ticket.
And there's a commit hook being set for that.
Yeah, exactly. Again, implementation from their side, we don't care,
They give you a GitHub URL, you paste it into your GitHub account, and they do a JSON callback every time you trigger a commit or a pull request or whatever.
And again, it's useful, right? Any other questions?
You guys use Slack?
Of course.
Okay. So do you have integration with Slack?
Yes, we do. And yeah, exactly. No, but like
They just got another round of funding. They're worth
Yeah,
$700 billion.
Well, $700 million? Yeah.
I mean, it's not like
$1 billion.
They're worth
$700
million.
Okay.
So yeah, here's the thing. So
They got another round of funding.
it's not like we don't.
For the Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not like we don't like Slack. We don't like a lot of channels, which we have. Slack started off as an awesome tool, but now it's like, and I have ADHD, self-proclaimed. I just always have to not have that red button there. So yeah, that's why, on top of all other chatter, you have this build stuff, and it just, honestly, personally, it's muted.
Yes.
If you had multiple versions of your application in production, so you have version 1 and version 2, 2 branches, version 1, version 2, you have to put a hotfix on version 1. How would you get those changes? And only those 2 changes onto version 2?
Yeah, here's the thing with GitFlow.
No, but okay, I looked it up. That's exactly what the support branch is for.
Yeah, really?
Support branch is for if you need to maintain
Okay.
version 1 as a separate release of version 2.
Since we never did that, because when on mobile a version goes out, you never have multiple versions. Never. On the App Store, it's always the master version,
Because
right?
you read it like cherry picking,
You're gonna cherry pick.
but then
Yeah.
that cherry picking was questionable as a strategy.
But you're gonna have to do that, right?
Yeah.
The version 1, it's already part of it, so.
No, it's still live. It's still live. It's still in production.
Then it is, they remastered.
Okay,
You're gonna have master.
maybe you have you sell your software to each clients, and one client needs to stay back on version 1.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you need your support branch to make fixes specifically for that one client.
I actually call it a release branch because it just makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, support doesn't mean that to me. Support, I would think, would be like another one fix branch.
Cool.
So, yeah, or release a branch for each release that's actually in the field that dies there. But you fix it. Then you still have to merge whatever fixes back into the.
When you have to
master
merge
branch.
though, are you merging the whole branch or cherry picking just those?
It depends on what code you changed is how it is. And that's why we have humans to look at it, I guess. You can't just blindly merge.
Cool. Anyways, if there's no more questions, I'm gonna say peace out. But we can continue chatting, of course. Cool.